Hello, welcome to the video. This is in fact the third time I'm filming this video because the first two times my mic was muted. I love that for me. My name is Emma, I'm from High Nerd Studios. Today I'm going to be taking you through my entire planning part of my process. So this is the first step in any collection past having the idea for a collection. So before I buy supplies, before I make the candles and other products, this is what I do. I'm going to take you through the whole little planning process that I do in Google Drive, but make sure to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And I'm going to take y'all over in just a second. If you haven't seen me on YouTube before, these are all the other places that you can find me. I'm most often on Instagram and Twitch. We are having our first ever charity stream on April 22nd, which is Earth Day, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to drop $1 to plant a tree, we are organizing for one tree planted. $1 will plant an entire tree, so make sure to check that out if you are interested in helping the environment in any way. But that is the whole spiel. We're gonna get into the video, and let's go. Alright, so this is the first page of my document. You can see I am doing a Shrek collection because of course I am. But I start with just deciding what scents I want to do for each candle. Now I do scent blends. I'm such an Aquarius. It is unnatural for me to just do one single scent. So I usually just do two scents, 50-50 or maybe 60-40 blends. And I just like to write out these are the official names of the scents that I'm buying. So I get almost everything from Candle Science. I've tried all kinds of companies. Candle Science is just my favorite in terms of quality, pricing, value, the way everything is clean now. I just really like them. Not sponsored, but I wish I was. So I use two scents from them, and I kind of think of like a name or a vibe when I can. And I just note the top, middle, and base. This is just from their website for both of the scents, because when I'm doing the label and when I'm describing the scents on social media, I like to pull the most prominent scents because once I've mixed them together, I smell it and I think, hey, you know, the sandalwood is super strong in the blend. I'm gonna pull that. I don't list everything. I just pull the notes that I think are the most prominent, especially because I'm blending the two. A lot of notes might blend together or get a little bit muddled, so you're not gonna smell every single note that's listed. I just like to have them for reference, and I just write them down for everything. Normally a collection, I do even numbers, but now that I'm making my own jars, I actually like to work in groupings of 5. So I have 5 scents for this collection. I've just described them like this, and this is the very first step. So after I've done all the scent descriptions, this is the base point of reference. I go ahead and I do a couple of things. So this is from the website Coolors, Collors, and I just get a color palette. And this is more for just the general aesthetic of the collection, and now that I am making my own jars, these colors are what the jar colors are going to be. So you can see I have Donkey, Farquaad, Fiona, Shrek, and I ended up doing Gingy, but when I first started, this was like the fairy tale category for all of them. And this is the basis for how I do my labels, and you can see down here, I designed the labels in Canva already, and this is the main color palette for each label. They're not in the same order, which kind of bothers me, but I didn't feel like making a new Coolors palette. You can just see, like for Fiona, this is her color palette. I want to make sure that they're complementary, but not the same. I didn't want to finish all the designing without comparing it like this, because while Shrek has a very specific aesthetic, I think of like greens and browns. I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting than that, without having everything be one note or clashing. So I just like to have it all in one page, so you can see what it looks like all together. I make sure that nothing is too similar, and nothing is like really egregiously against each other, because I will be taking group photos, I will be taking singular photos, so it just kind of, I like to plan ahead like this. If you're buying jars, you might not have the opportunity to do this kind of thing, but if you're making your own labels and you use labels like I do, this is something that I really recommend doing just to make sure that everything pans out before you've printed it or made your candles a certain color or anything like that. And then from here, I just watched the movie for research. I only do this for the inspired collections. If I'm doing something a little bit loose, like my Western collection, I just did stuff off the top of my head. But since I do a lot of pop culture items, if I'm referencing something specific, I will read it, watch it, play it, whatever it's referenced by, and just pull quotes. And I also color code this. So red is Farquaad, this mauve is Fiona, green is Shrek, brown is Donkey, and then Gingy has like 2 lines, so I didn't really need to pull lines. But there's so many. Obviously, a bunch of these don't make it to the label, but I like to use phrasing and quotes and certain vocabulary that's present in whatever I'm referencing in the social media as well. So while all of this might look like a lot of work to make a single label for each collection, I'm actually going to be theming my social media posts around whatever it's inspired by. So I will be using these quotes. I will be using the phrasing that the movie has, just so it feels authentic in all of the branding. I think that's really important. If you don't want to go this extra step, obviously you don't have to, or if you don't do pop culture items, it wouldn't even be a thing. But for instance, like in my Clue collection, I wrote out an entire murder mystery and I put the answer to the murder mystery in the package of the candles. Like, I just like taking that extra step, because if you're buying something that's based on pop culture, I feel like it should feel like whatever the thing is inspired by. You want that same, like, I love Shrek, I want like the silly vibes. So that's why I do this step. And then if you just go down here, I have listed out all of the items that I need for each product. So this is the wax, the fragrance, and the wicks for the candles, as well as the cement and stuff, but I know that off the top of my head, so I didn't calculate the cement because I buy it in much bigger quantities. I have like 50 pounds of cement on hand, but if I were doing maybe a collection a year from now when I ran out of cement, I would be putting the cement in here too. But you can just see, based on what I want to do, how much fragrance I'm gonna need per scent and total, and then times that, because when I go and buy things, I want to make sure that I'm buying enough fragrance to be able to accomplish all of the products that I'm going to make. Because I make candles, because I make body mist, because I make wax melts, because I make diffusers, I need the same fragrance for all of that. And if I don't calculate it in advance, I might not have enough to make all of these products. So I calculate everything. And then later on, I didn't get to this because personally, I just didn't really want to broadcast how much this is going to cost me. But if I was doing this privately, which I will do after this video, I will put how much it's going to cost me, because again, in my last video, how you saw I do my pricing, you need to know what you're paying for everything. You need to know in a general amount what you're paying for the shipping and the tax on these items as well. So I like to have this as reference, because if you don't plan ahead like this, you're not going to have enough wax, you're going to need to make another purchase, you're not going to have enough fragrance oil, you're going to have to cut a product. Like, it's really frustrating, and I used to do this all the time when I didn't have as good organization, that I would run out of something and then I'd have to place another order, and that's just that much more tax and shipping that you're paying that you wouldn't have needed to spend if you had planned accordingly. So I totally used to make this mistake. That's why I do it like this now. And this is the entirety of my planning. From this stage, I'm going to purchase everything. I'm going to continue the designing, making the jars, making the candles, making all the other peripheral products, so on and so forth. And I will actually show y'all what the labels look like since we talked about them. And that's kind of it. This is this beginning baby steps of planning. But I think the foundation and the groundwork for planning a collection like this is what's going to make it cohesive and successful. So I'll take y'all to the labels and then we'll wrap up the video. Alright, so I do all of my labels in Canva, and I actually use all of the graphics within Canva just because I know that if it's from Canva's own photo archive, it's okay to use on a label. I can't just take screenshots from Shrek and paste them on the label. That's totally against copyright. I also don't have any character names or anything like that. That's also why I pull quotes from things, because just a bunch of words together is okay. As long as I reference what this is from well enough, people will understand what it is. I can't just put Fiona on the label and put the Shrek logo. So I have Fiona's label, very princessy inspired. You can see the mauvey tones from that first color chart that we had on the drive draft. Shrek's, very obvious, Get Out Me Swamp. He doesn't actually say this, so it's not copyrighted. This is like a Mandela effect or something. He actually never says this in the movie, which blew my mind watching it again. This one is still kind of a work in progress, because as you can see, this is really hard to read. Then we have donkeys. Again, this is just a reference to him making waffles, and the scent is going to be like a caramel waffle scent. We have Farquaad's. My favorite line, do you think maybe he's compensating for something? You'll know that this is Farquaad, as well as it being a strawberry shortcake scent. It's all a joke about his height, but there's nothing directly referencing the character. There's no image of the character. And then we have Gingy, not the Gumdrop Buttons. So all of these things, if you like Shrek, if you're even familiar with Shrek, you theoretically should understand these quotes and these references. But Shrek is not going to come after me because I'm not using their characters or their imaging, things like that. So that is the entire planning process from start to finish. That is everything I do up until the point where I actually start working on the collection, buying supplies, making all the products, advertising on social media. This is the beginning step, and I think this is really important. This is not how my process was 2 years ago. This has really evolved as I've learned things, so that's why I wanted to share it now when I feel like it's really, really functional and complete. I think the only way to have a cohesive and really like tightly organized, good-looking aesthetic brand is to plan all this stuff in advance, like I did with the colors, with the scent descriptions, with the phrasing. So I really do recommend, if you haven't done any sort of pre-planning, to maybe think of ways that you would like to plan whatever your products are, what would benefit to make them look cohesive and unified and like they're your product from your brand. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. I will keep doing small business tips, candle making tips, things like that in the future. Hope to see you in another video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching.